morning, everybody. How are we? Welcome to a new weight loss week. It is Monday, the first Monday of April. We're on Monday, the 7th of April. Hope you've all had a superb weekend and you are ready to get back at it. Let's hit another week hard, and get absolutely on it. Yeah, come on. Let's go. We're on it. We're all good. We've had a good weekend. I've had a good weekend. Had a busy weekend. I was out Saturday night, my first night out of 2025. It was a little bit ropey for the first half of yesterday till about 4-ish, something like that. And then I was absolutely fine. And I didn't even drink that much. I did, but I think because I've not had a drink for a proper, bit of a boozy session since in between Christmas and New Year. Hit me hard yesterday. I was tired. I was more tired than anything, but yeah, I didn't feel the best. We've had a good night's sleep, and we're absolutely rocking. We are rocking and rolling today. Absolutely rocking and rolling. Right, let's do the top 5 this morning. Faye's in at number 1, Cam's in at number 2, Carol's in at number 3, Emma's in at number 4, and Songbirdy 1 is in at number 5. Guys, you're on my top 5 this morning. Thank you very much for jumping straight on the live. Hope you're well, and just loving life. I'm absolutely buzzing this morning. I'll tell you why I'm absolutely buzzing this morning. I've just got all my stuff ready to do my weekly weight loss vlog later on, and I've nailed my calories. Even though I've had a night out, hangover day yesterday, I'm just about within my ideal deficit, so I'm buzzing with that. It's all good. It's all good. So, last week just went tick, 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 tick. And that is what we want. Tom's in, good morning. Paul is in, good morning. Lise, good morning. Maureen, good morning. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Maureen. Kelly C, good morning. Let me scan up. A lot of background noise, Neil. Yes, it's called a cockapoo. Is the background noise? It's called a cockapoo. If anyone wants to know how Blossom is currently laid on the floor, enjoying the pig's ear. There you are. That's Blossom. She's got a little bodysuit on because she's just decided to trash the couch, and now she's having a little chew on a blanket on a pig's ear. Yes. So Blossom was neutered she got spayed on Friday. And she's been quite lethargic. She was quite lethargic, very lethargic Friday. We didn't even see her. She just slept. She's sort of coming a bit around on Saturday. Yesterday she was more back, and this morning she's just blossomed, which is a nightmare when you're trying to stop an 18-month-old cockapoo running around because she's had an operation and trying to protect her stitches and stuff like that. Anyway, she's being entertained currently with a pig's ear on the office floor, so hopefully that will keep her nice and chill. It's set to be a lovely sunny week here. It is set to be the weather has been amazing. It's been quite cool, it's been fresh, hasn't it? There's been a bit of a fresh breeze, but the sun is lovely. The fact that it's dry is absolutely amazing. I'm getting 10 times more light in my garden. We had tree surgeons round on Friday that have basically done an amazing job trimming back a massive tree that blocked all the sun out of our garden. So that's also... So yeah, it's all good. It's all smiles. It smiles all around this morning. Karen Hayes, good morning. Karen G, good morning. JJ John Jackson, good morning. As Blossoms as if she's had nothing happen to her, which, like I say, is an absolute nightmare for us because you're just trying to keep her contained and trying to stop her jumping around and all this and other. Amy, good morning. I'm on 24,000 steps already. It's half 8 in the morning, James. James is a busy boy. Donna, good morning. Let me scan up Big Mart on YouTube. Good morning to you, sir. We've had frost the last couple of mornings. It doesn't surprise me. It has been cold at night. Like I say, it's been quite fresh. Been caught out a couple of times last week where I've just gone for a dog walk in a t-shirt. I'm like, it is cold. And then yesterday I was out walking Betty because I can't really walk Blossom at the moment. Give her 5 minutes yesterday, but for this week she's allowed 5 to 10 minutes a day, 2 to 3 times a week, which again is a bit of a nightmare because she's got loads of energy, acting like nothing's happened to her and we can't flip and walk her properly, which is fine. Well, it's going to be like that really probably for another week or two. But yeah, I went out yesterday, and I was actually wearing this fleece yesterday out for a walk, and I was sweltering. I had to take it off after about 5-10 minutes. So yeah, the temperature's all on, but definitely making. Does it not remind you of COVID? It reminds me of COVID. This weather at the moment. I don't know if anyone remember. Not that everyone wants to remember COVID, but 5 years ago, we were probably on lockdown week 3 of COVID, and the weather was amazing. It didn't rain for about 14, 15 weeks. It was as if someone up there was yeah, you're going to get locked in your house, and you can only go in your back garden, but we're going to sort you out with the weather. It reminds you of that, because I remember the first 5 or 6 weeks of COVID before sort of May hit. The weather was just like this. But I remember, because I was training in the garden, I had a body pull, I had a few weights, I had a spin bike, and Rachel was still working, but working remotely. And yeah, we were just, it was just absolutely, the weather was amazing. But it was like, in the morning, Rachel would be at work, she'd be in the office in there, going to work, and I'd be moving all my few bits of weights and stuff that I had outside into the garden, and training in the garden, and that's what the weather reminds me. It just reminds me of COVID. Morning, matey. Chloe Ferry, good morning. Jones in, good morning all. It's reminding me of COVID year 2. Praying it's going to be a good summer. Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I don't think it rained till like July or something like that. It was literally just dry day in, day out. And then it got to May, and the weather sort of, when it always, we get to the end of April and the weather's amazing, isn't it? Like normally, if it's sunny here, May is just the best month. It's warmer. It's light till 9 o'clock at night. Oh, I can't wait. But yeah, fingers crossed. Because last summer was a washout. It never stopped raining. It just rained and rained and rained and rained. It was awful. Anyway, yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for a good summer this year. Let me scan down. Hi, lost first, stupidly on very low calories. Still a lot to lose, correct deficit now and gaining. Will it settle? Do you mean, Lisa, are you trying to say that basically you've stuck to really low calories and you lost quite a bit of weight, and you've hit your brick wall, you can't stick to those low amount of calories anymore, so you say you've got into a correct deficit, but now you're gaining? Well, what do you mean by, look, if you're consistently gaining, like, give me some time frames, because if you're literally like, since Christmas, I've been eating 1,200 calories a day and I've lost 2 stone, right? And then I can't stick to that low amount of calories anymore. So I've recalculated my calories. Now I'm sticking to 1,700 calories a day. I started that last Monday. I've weighed myself today and I've gained a few pounds. You will have done, right? You will have done it. It's that simple. Why? Because you're eating a bit more, right? And that doesn't mean you've got any fatter, right? The scales show your water weight, your food weight, your water retention, and fat. Right? That's kind of what the scale. The scales, when you get on the scales, part of the weight on the scales is your bones, it's your skin, it's your organs inside your body. They're not really ever going to change that much, right? But there's 4 things that make the scales fluctuate, that do change. Some things change on a day-to-day basis, some things change on a weekly basis, some things change on a monthly basis. That is water weight, food weight, water retention, and body fat, right? And if you're eating 1,200 calories a day, we always have an average amount of water in the body, an average amount of food in the body. I'll have food in my system now. Last thing I ate last night was about 9 o'clock last night. But all that food, you've always got some food in you. I might not have anything in my stomach. My stomach will probably be empty now, but I'll certainly have some bits of food probably still just about in my small intestine. I'll certainly have some food in my large intestine, food in my bowel ready before it comes out the other way. So you've always got an average amount of food weight. If you're eating 1,200 calories a day, your average food weight is going to be here. We don't know what it is. It could be 3 pounds. It could be 5 pounds, right? Your average food weight. If you start eating 1,700 calories a day, your average food weight is just going to pop up a little bit. That is going to show when you increase your calories. just for the first week or so. Now, if you come to me and go, no, I was eating 1,200 calories a day January, February, lost us 20 pounds. And then at the beginning of March, I went on to 1,800 calories a day. But since then, I've been gaining every week. You're not eating 1,800 calories a day, or 1,800 calories a day is putting you in a calorie surplus. I don't know. Right? There's always an answer. I can find the answer. Just sometimes you need a bit more information. Victoria Foley, morning. Does calorie counting, by its very nature, help stop grazing? Well, yes and no, I suppose. It's one of those with calorie counting. So, it'll make you more accountable and it'll make you more aware of what you are eating. So if you're someone that, if you call it grazing, as in you're not even hungry, you're just a bit bored, you're in the kitchen and you're making the kids' tea and you're just like, while you're chopping up the kids, while you're plating up the kids' tea, you might nick a couple of chips or a chicken nugget or, hopefully the kids are eating what you're eating. I'm not saying you just feed your kids chips and chicken nuggets. Or, you sort of, every time you walk past the biscuit tray at work, you grab yourself a cheeky bourbon, right? Well, when you're calorie counting, you need to, everything that you're eating should be in your app. And it should be in your app before it goes in your trap. If it isn't in your app, it doesn't go in your trap. And therefore, you should always be constantly looking at your app. Well, I say constantly looking at your app. People go, a little bit obsessive. No, but you should be, using your app as a calorie bank account. That's what it is. Your app is a calorie bank account where, it's, can I afford to have this biscuit? Can I afford to have these 3 chips? So by the very nature of it, yeah, it should make you more accountable. Now, if you can be like, no, I can afford a couple of biscuits in the afternoon, and that's what you want to spend your calories on, fine. Because again, over restriction, stopping things that you might enjoy, you might be like, no, at work, every afternoon, we always have a 15-minute break where we all get together, we have a cup of tea and a couple of bourbons, and it's like a tradition. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can't go, well, I'm still going to come in and have a natter and have a brew. I'm just not going to have the 2 bourbons. But if it's something you enjoy and it's a bit of a putting the world to rights session, a couple of bourbon biscuits is 100 calories. Build it into your calories, right? Having a couple of biscuits every afternoon, if that's part of your treat or something like that, again, in terms of being healthy, health doesn't affect fat loss. You can eat as much junk food as you want within a calorie deficit to lose weight. As I always say this, it doesn't mean we should, because the way we structure our diet, the way we eat things, will support things like regulating hunger and stopping us eating. But, still, if it's something you enjoy doing, fine. Not a problem at all. Build it into your calories, yeah? But, it's about being more accountable and more aware. And you might just go, do you know what? I don't even want those biscuits. It's just, they're just there and I just have them. But if you're like, do you know what? I've been having 4 or 5 biscuits every afternoon. I've realised I've been blowing 350 calories a day on nothing and convincing myself I'm actually only having 2. So, yeah, it can stop you grazing. But, again, there's no right or wrong way to eat if it suits you. So if you're sort of like, I like my main meals. I do. I like having my main meals. It's what tends to work for me. Breakfast, lunch, tea, breakfast, dinner, tea, whatever you call it, right? And then, I might have, I quite like eating 5 times a day. I do. I just find that if I eat on a regular basis and I eat the right things, it massively helps to control my calories. So, I'll tend to have breakfast, dinner, something mid-afternoon, tea. I'm not saying this is guaranteed day in, day out, but it is something I tend to look at a little bit. This morning, I'm really busy. I'm doing this live till about 9:30. Then I've got a little bit of admin and stuff to do. But I am going to pretty much shoot off after this live. Why? Because I want to do a shopping vlog in Aldi. So I'm going to go to Aldi. I'm going to do a shopping vlog. Nipped in the other day, noticed they had a couple of new bits and pieces. Got a couple of things that I need to get for tea over the next few nights, and then just a general essentials, few bits and pieces that I get on, my frozen fruit. I need to get some ingredients for for a recipe that I'm going to be doing, for some recipes and stuff like that. So, but it's summer holidays, not summer holidays. It's first day of Easter holidays, and I totally forgot. which means there's going to be lots of kids knocking about, lots of noise, which is fine. It just is what it is. But I'm kind of like, the earlier I can get in there, if I finish this live at 9:30, just get up, jump straight in the car, get into Aldi. Hopefully, the earlier you go, the slightly quieter it should be. Anyway, I'm going to do an Aldi shopping vlog today, which will be out tomorrow. It won't be out today because I've got the weekly weight loss vlog will be out later on. Shopping vlog tomorrow. New recipe Wednesday. Try and get a podcast out Thursday. Alexa, turn off office heater. Try and get a podcast out Thursday, and then Friday will be worth the calories. So I'm going to try and get you a bit of YouTube content out every day this week. I'm going to try anyway. So so you have got to find out what works. You know, I do have clients that just like, I don't really like eating main meals. I just kind of quite like snacking or grazing throughout the day. Is it all right to do that? And I'm like, if you're controlling your calories, you're controlling your appetite, you're not finding, sticking to your diet a chore, eat the way you want to eat. You know, if you want to just eat 2 big meals a day, lunch and tea, and it works for you and it's within your calories, absolutely fine. You might call that intermittent fasting. If you want to, some days miss breakfast, some days miss breakfast. If some days you want to eat breakfast. I'm probably going to miss breakfast today because, or if I do have breakfast, I might just grab a quick. I've got one of my peanut butter flapjacks in the fridge. Not peanut butter, banana and blueberry flapjacks in the fridge. I will be recording that recipe, but it's probably going to be for next week. And I'll tell you why. You need ripe bananas, and my bananas aren't ripe enough yet. So I need to leave it out for another couple of days. So I'll probably film that probably Thursday this week before they've got black enough to make them, sort of thing. Before they're ripe enough to make them. So that'll be out next week. I'm going to do a homemade protein pizza today. Everyone goes on, they've got the Aldi protein pizzas, haven't they? And I'm processed. I'm like, I'm not telling you to eat a protein pizza every night for your tea, but if you need a bit of convenience, they're a good option. And I'm going to show you how you can make one yourself. It'll take 15 minutes. So is 15 minutes longer than just buying one and sticking? Yeah, it is. So I'm not telling you by making one of these that this is, you should only make your own protein. But I don't work like that as a coach. You've got to sometimes, again, I did a live on this last week. You've got to find sometimes what works for you, right? So, if you're someone that finds that, you need a bit of convenience here, I think we all need some convenience in this day and age. I think we do. We can go back, well, we didn't eat protein pizzas in the 50s and no one had a weight issue. In the 50s, life wasn't like it is today. It's called evolution. Things change, right? In the 50s, it was extremely common that in a household, you'd have one person that worked full time and one person that stayed at home and looked after the house. And, if I was a permanent house husband, right, and I was a looked after chap, I wish I was, and Rachel just went out to work all day, we wouldn't have any real convenience foods, as it were. I would just, if I had the time every single day to cook from scratch, I would, but we don't. I work full time. Rachel works full time, and now I'm quite lucky that I work from home, so I can make more cook from scratch meals. But if we were both tonight getting in at 6:00 at night time, right? Sometimes you're all like, all right, I might have meal prepped something yesterday. I might have left something in the slow cooker, and this is what you've got to do. Sometimes you need a bit of convenience. Sometimes you want to just get home and stick a protein pizza in. 600 calorie, easy to track, calorie controlled. It's got a bit of protein in it. I might whack a salad on the side for a bit more volume and a bit more health in there. But yeah, we do in 2025. We do need a lot more convenience than we did in 1950 to stay on track. But likewise, we can eat healthy, nutritious food that supports our journey, and that can take 10 to 15 minutes to make. So if you get home from work at 6:00 and you're adamant, I'm never going to buy a pizza from the supermarket, I'll show you how to make one in 15 minutes. All right? Tasty, delicious, decent sized portion, 600 calories, 40 odd grams of protein. Be out Wednesday. Be out on Wednesday. I built in Big Bar on YouTube. I built in 200 calories of chocolate a day into my calories since Christmas. Currently 3 stone down and don't feel like I'm missing out. Amazing. And that's the thing, you know, all these robots can come on social media going, you should only eat this, you should only eat that. No, you shouldn't. You should always try and prioritize getting a good amount of whole foods into your diet, right? You know, you know, get your veg, you know, get your potatoes in, get your carrots in, get your broccoli in, get all your bits and pieces in. You know, get your 0% fat Greek yogurt. I tend to eat it every day, right? Get your chicken breast in. I'll be eating some of that today. Or get a steak in. Get your 5% fat mince in, right? These are all whole foods that we should be looking at getting into our regular diet, right? But you know, does 100% of your diet have to be like that to be healthy? No. Does 100% of your diet need to be like that to lose weight? Absolutely not. Right? It's all about finding that bit of balance. I saw someone this week, and I'm not going to name any names. It's a guy I know, and he put on social media that he was doing this, you know, going in for this. He's been suckered in like a lot of people have. And I won't mind, but he's really into the fitness industry and health. Well, I say he's really into, I don't know, but he's really into like training and exercise and stuff like that. And even he's been brainwashed and suckered in because he's put, I'm giving this, you know, he's basically not quite carnivore diet, but he's going on to this 100% whole foods diet to see if it improves his health issues. And then some people were asking him about it in the comments, and I get it. You know, sometimes you need to do an elimination diet if you've got a lot of, you know, stomach issues around eating. Yeah, go on. You know, don't have that mindset where I'm going to go on to I just need to eat whole foods all the time. But sometimes we need to do what we call an elimination diet, where you really strip your eating back. And then start, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? And then you start adding some foods back in, and certain foods that you react to, then you might be like, right, well, maybe I really need to limit those foods in the future. Certain foods where you're absolutely fine, you can crack on, you know. But it was just the way he wrote something, and then and this is how I know he's been brainwashed by, and some people are so convincing on social media, but he literally put like, you know, the old, we've been lied to by the food companies. We've been lied to by health. We've been lied to that, you know, animal fats are bad for us. I'm like, oh God, no, not another one. And I'm just like, and we're very easily, sometimes if we're desperate to achieve something. So he says he's had a lot of health issues over the last sort of 12, 18 months. I could answer straight away why he's got a lot of these health issues. But I'm not going to wade in because it's none of my business, right? And you know, but it's this conspiracy theory that the world's out to get us. It's, you know, and he mentioned like the pharmacies they want us ill to make money out of us. I'm like, really? Is that really the thought? I mean, look, if anyone thinks like that, again, I'll give you some logical reasonings behind, you know, why that is just a load of nonsense. Okay. So first of all, you know, there might be a slight argument for that in the US. I don't live in the US. I live in the UK. In the UK, we have a public funded health service called the NHS that is being absolutely battered from pillar to post. And the fact that the government, food companies, and pharmaceutical companies are in cahoots to make us ill, so we spend more money on medicines to make it, just doesn't make sense in the UK because it absolutely strips the bare bones out of what it costs us. You know, we pay what, £9.90 for a prescription that you know, I take sulfasalazine every day for my arthritis, right? I know this costs £40 a month. That is what my GP bills the NHS for my prescription. I pay £9.90 of that. Right. So I cost the NHS £30 a month. Now I don't mind costing the NHS £30 a month because I pay £1,000 a month generally in tax on average over a year. And, you know, so if I'm contributing 12 grand into the system plus whatever I pay VAT on top, I don't mind taking out £360 a year out of that to help fund for my medication, right? So, you know, it is what it is, but it's just an absolutely bonkers thing. Now, don't get me wrong, food companies do come out with foods that are highly palatable. And of course, food companies are a business. They want you to buy their products, right? You know, they want you to buy their products. Of course they do. It's like any advertising, right? But this conspiracy theory that the government, pharmaceutical companies and food industry, so food industries bring these foods out, right? You eat them, that makes you ill. So you have to buy more medicine, and the government are all. It's just bonkers. It is absolutely bonkers that is the thought process that some people have. Right? It just logically does not make any sense whatsoever, because it doesn't make the government, like, you might be like, well, yeah, but then the pharmaceutical companies, people buying this, then pay VAT or then pay tax back to the government. That may no. The budget for the NHS is like £100 billion a year, right? And you know, obesity or you know, well, diabetes literally costs something like 10% of the budget now, like £10 billion a year, right? The government would be much happier, everyone being healthy, not earning money from taxation on pharmaceutical goods, and not having to put £100 billion a year into the NHS, right? Because they don't make billions and billions of pounds a year from the taxation on pharmaceuticals. They don't, right? So it just doesn't make sense, right? Financially, it's just but people that maybe don't understand finance and how things work, I get why you get wrapped up in it. And then this thing that we've been lied to about, like saturated fat, right? Carnivore dieters, right, promote eating animal products. Animal products contain saturated fat. How do we convince people that animal products, saturated fat, is good for us? Right? What we do is we demonize healthy foods that we have been told for years that help, which are healthy, like seed oils, like plants, like all this, that, and the other. This is really bad for us. We'd be like, no, saturated fat is really bad for us, right? Again, the devil's always in the dose. You can consume some saturated fat. Anyone here that doesn't believe that saturated fats are bad for us, please go and see if you can do some work experience on a cardiac ward at your local hospital, right? And go and see the effects of obese people that have probably, and what they're going through with their, you know, heart attacks, things like that. You know, go into a, you know, stents getting put in hearts. You know, go and have a little look. Right? If you don't believe saturated fat, go and buy some sausages or something like that. They've got a really high fat content, or just go and buy loads of products full of saturated fat and cook them in your air fryer. But don't clean your air fryer, right? And after a week, take out the little tray that everything seeps through and let it go cold, right? And you look at what's in the bottom of your air fryer after a week of cooking high saturated fat product. You tell me that is doing good swimming around your bloodstream. Right? Go and ask that. No. Saturated fats, if overconsumed for long periods of time, cause heart disease. They increase risk of cancers. They also increase risk of type 2 diabetes. Increased risk. I'm not saying it guarantees, you know, you might have, you know, Bob, who's 90 and has cooked with lard all his life, right? And he's absolutely right as rain. Again, we don't know how much lard Bob's been using. We don't know what Bob's other life's like. Yeah, Bob's never smoked in his life. He's never drunk alcohol. His one vice is he likes to cook in lard, right? Bob exercises on a regular basis. Even at 90 years of age, he still walks 4 or 5 miles a day. There's always factors, you know. But it is. It's absolutely crazy that people are now getting convinced by other people that things that are proven, science, and again, these are systematic, peer-reviewed, right, randomized control studies on humans, systematic peer-reviewed, not funded by anyone, right, just randomized control studies. Yeah, saturated fat's bad for us, right? And this thing about seed oils and all this that, there's absolutely, they all go, oh, it causes inflammation. It's no evidence. There's absolutely zero evidence to prove that, right? Omega-6 fatty acids that are in things like rapeseed oil, omega-3 fatty acids that are in things like salmon and avocado, super good for us, right? They people that have those fats instead of saturated fats have lower LDL cholesterol, lower triglycerides in the blood, and have lower risk of heart disease and things like that. That's the truth of it. But we get anyone in the world is trying to convince us otherwise, just to sell a rhetoric, just to sell a narrative, to sell a product. Right? There'll always be a carnivore plan behind it, or there'll always be some sort of diet plan behind it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not selling people shouldn't sell stuff. I'm an online weight loss coach. I have online weight loss plans, and I want you guys, hopefully, from watching me over time and this, that, and the other, you go, do you know what? This guy knows what he's talking about, and I'm going to put my trust in him to be my weight loss coach. And you sign up to my one-to-one plan. Still half price to sign up, by the way. I'm going to run that till the end of Easter. So you've got this week. Is it Easter next week? Yeah, so you've got this week, next week. I'm going to run it probably till the end of, I go to Fuengirola on the 30th of April. So I'm not going to take anyone on board on the 4th of May. So I'll probably run it until like the Wednesday after Easter. So if you want me to be your one-to-one weight loss coach, it's just 15 quid to sign up at the moment, right? Just 15 quid. So you can go TikTok profile, Facebook page, YouTube page, click on the link, use code SPRING, all in capitals, 50, SPRING50, right? And you'll get half price sign up. But yeah, saturated fat's really, really bad for us, right? No one's lying to you about that. Right? No, it's not a big conspiracy theory over the last 40 years to convince people that saturated fat is unhealthy for us, right? Again, the devil is always in the dose. Sugar is unhealthy for us at a certain rate. But what we need to understand about certain food products is certain things are extremely easy to overeat, whereas certain things are a lot harder. So water is toxic to the human body at a certain level. All right. So water is toxic to the human body at a certain level, just like sugar is, just like saturated fat is. For me to drink enough water for it to be toxic it'd be pretty much physically impossible for me to do. For me to eat enough sugar on a day-to-day basis or enough saturated fat for it to be is very easy to do. Right. So that's the difference. But the devil is always in the dose, Right. Let me scan down. Let me scan down. I was brought up on unpasteurized farm milk, and I'm hardly ever ill. Yeah, so, again, raw milk. You'll see a lot of people saying raw milk, and you can't really get raw milk. There's a few farm shops that will do it. Now, again, this is what the people that push raw milk don't show you. When you go to a farm shop, we have one that's about 6-7 miles away, right? And they sell raw milk, right? And I've seen a few people do content. Get your raw milk; it's much better for you than pasteurized milk. When you go to that farm shop, there is a health disclaimer on the side of the wall like that. That is literally like, please be aware, these are the risks if you are going to consume raw milk, right? And it is a risk. It's not you're guaranteed to get ill. I'm also a big believer, a bit like Hannah said there, I was brought up on unpasteurized farm milk and I'm hardly ever ill. I've had raw milk. I'm from a farming community. I used to go milking in the morning in school holidays. I had friends that lived on farms, and you'd always have milk fresh from the cow that was unpasteurized and this, that, and the other. And yeah, I've never been ill from drinking it. I've never been, would I drink it now? Absolutely. I also, things like yogurt that I just eat. And my stomach's absolutely cast iron normally. I'll get a yogurt out of the fridge that's 2 months out of date. As long as it's not moldy, I'll eat it. It's gone off milk anyway. It's fermented. It's fine. Honestly, it's fine, right? And I'm right. But would I go and tell certain people to go and drink, especially if they've never been exposed to it before? Absolutely not. Right? When I go and tell someone that's lived in a town all their life that's always consumed pasteurized milk, go and drink raw milk, it'd be great. Probably not, because again, we build up an immunity. Probably quite a lot of the that is present in raw milk. Like I say, I drunk it a lot as a kid, and yeah, I probably just got an immunity to it, or my body's or whatever. But we've always got to have that little bit of balance. But again, people demonize pasteurized milk. It is absolutely superb. It doesn't take away any of the nutritional value of milk. It just makes it extremely safe for everyone to drink. People that don't have a great immune system, older people, younger people, pregnant ladies, that if they got some of these things that is present in, in these things, and again, it's how well the cows looked after, how clean is where it's a farm at the end of the day, but there's always different things to look at. Hi, I'm new and I love your advice. I've had a bad couple of weeks and my nan died and I need help getting back on track. Okay, it's always a big thing. Is look, emotional eating is one of the main issues why we struggle with our weight. Right? It's depending on how much your weight issue is, right? But I would say 90% of the people, everyone emotionally eats. Even if you're skinny, you'll have certain periods where you emotionally eat. But I would say most people that are top end overweight, going into obese, morbidly obese, emotional eating is their biggest issue around food, right? And obviously, I always say this, that emotion is always a negative emotion. So it can be things like stress, it can be things like, anxiety, it can be fear, loneliness. There's loads of different negative emotions out there that can push us to look for a distraction, which is what we do. Obviously, bereavement is, especially if it's someone very close to us, it is a big emotional trigger, and the pain of losing someone very close to us, we do look for, again, everyone looks for a distraction, whether that's at the bottom of a bottle, whether that is in the fridge, whether that is, doing other substances. A lot of people will look for that distraction. And I honestly believe that for a week or two, while things are digesting and, you're kind of coming to terms with it, I don't think there's anything too wrong with it. The issue is if that 1 week to 2 week while you're coming to terms with things, or until maybe you have the funeral and you have a bit of closure, if that turns into a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, then that's when it becomes an issue, right? So, it is one of them. The stronger you are mentally, right, and physically maybe, but certainly the stronger you are and healthier you are mentally, the more you'll be able to cope with grief, and you shouldn't need a coping mechanism for a long time. So that's always something to look at. It's not a quick fix, but if you are, turning to something for years and years and years after, and people do this, or months and months and months, then, something that you're going to have to tackle going down the line is your mental health and getting stronger there. I always think the approach is really important to how you're approaching weight loss, because a lot of approaches are unsustainable. And if you've done an unsustainable approach for a period of time and then something set you off kilter, that could be something on purpose, like a holiday or Christmas. Likewise, it could be something that's not on purpose, like a sudden bereavement or something like that. To get back into an unsustainable weight loss method, it is virtually impossible for a lot of people. How many of you guys have eaten 1,200 calories a day for 6 months, or 3 to 6 months, done good, lost a good amount of weight, happy with what you've got on the scales, but it's been flipping tough. Then you do a week in Tenerife, all inclusive, and you get back from that week and you just can't get back to 1,200 calories a day, because that week in Tenerife has given you a realization of how hard, and it's kind of purposely made you hit the brick wall. So, Christina, you need to look at the method that you're going into. Sometimes it's quite good having a phased return to your journey. So you've had a couple of weeks off, right? And it might be like, right, well, do you know what? If you're tracking calories, for instance, you need to make sure that you're tracking calories in the right way. He might be like, do you know what? For the next week, I'm just going to track calories. I'm not worried about how much I'm eating. I don't care about just tracking your calories will make you a bit more accountable and make you rein things in a little bit. But go, I don't care whether I see 2,000 calories in my app in a day or 5,000. I'm just going to get back into the routine of tracking. Then after a week of doing that, then we might go into a small calorie deficit. So normally my calories are 2,000 calories a day, but I'm going to do 250 a day for a week. And then week 3, we'll get back into that. So, like I say, a little bit more of a phased return. Don't try and do too many things at once. You know, some people are like, right, I'm going to track my calories, 2,000 calories, or, 2,000 calories a day. I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. I need to do this. And no, you don't, right? Maybe it's a case of, right, this week, let's get your calories into place. Once your calories are into place, let's then start getting your steps back in. Right, once we get your steps back in, so we've got ticked your calories off after a couple of weeks. Now we've ticked calories and steps off. Now let's maybe go back to the gym 1 day a week or 2. Tick, tick, tick. Yeah, so a little bit of a phase return. I always think with a bereavement, think about the person you've lost and what they'd want you to do. So I did this when I lost my grandfather. I lost my grandfather in 2015. I was basically 12 months into my weight loss journey. And when I lost my dad in 2013, I went on a bender for 6 months. And when I lost my grandfather in 2015, I thought I was just going to do the same. I was like, and it was my first real test on my weight loss journey of of where I got my mental health to. And I was literally like, right, I'm going to go on a bender for 6 months. And, I went to the hospital in the morning, got called into a room. I knew what was coming, sat down with the doctor and he said, I'm really, really sorry to break this to you, but your grandfather passed away a couple of hours ago. And, I was in pieces. It was really upsetting. I loved him like my dad. I loved him more than my dad, if I'm being honest with you. He was more of a dad to me than my dad was. He was an absolute rock to me. He was someone I idolized, and it was heartbreaking. I think it was more. I think I managed to come to terms with it a bit, but he was 95, bless him. He'd been telling me for 2 years he was ready to go anyway. Since my nan died 18 months previous, and since my nan passed away, he was like, "I'm just knackered," and it was hard because his brain was 100%. His body had given up, so he was struggling a little bit with that. So maybe the fact he'd had such a good innings. I think when you get to 95, you kind of expected to pass away at some point. Maybe that's a bit cold the way I'm saying that, but I just think he's a bit more of a reality. Whereas my dad, seemingly to me, was fit, healthy, fine, got diagnosed with cancer 13 weeks later, 63, gone. And that was like, what's happening? But I remember my grandpa, I'd spent a lot of time with him on my weight loss journey because I wasn't going out, I wasn't drinking. He was struggling. He couldn't really drive. So my mum wasn't in the best of places after my dad passed away. So I was picking him up a few times, taking him shopping, seeing him nearly every day, really, and losing this weight. And I just remember him saying to me how proud he was of the weight I'd lost. He couldn't believe it. It kept him going for his last 12 months of his life. He was just like, it was just amazing seeing him changing. Just don't give up on it. You've got your mum to, because it was my mum's dad that passed away. You've got your mum to look after, and I'm pleased now. I'm going to get emotional in a minute. I'm pleased now that for the rest of your life, you're going to be there for your mum and this, that, and the other. And that stopped me turning to that. Honestly, I went to the pub afterwards in the afternoon and a few mates come out and I'm going on a bender. I'm going to get absolutely smashed, look for the answers at the bottom of a pint glass. And after 2 or 3 pints, I was just like, I don't want to do this. I want to go to the gym tomorrow. I want to carry on doing what I'm doing and still making him proud, even though he's not here anymore. So, and I think that's a big thing. Look at the person you've lost doesn't want you to. The person, if you could just ask this, if you could bring that person back just for 2 minutes and say, now you've gone, are you happy that I'm compromising my own health because you've died? They'd be absolutely mortified. They'd be like, absolutely not. Do not sacrifice your own health because you're missing me. I've had my time on this planet, right? you've still got your time on this planet, and that's kind of what went through my head when I lost my grandpa. And yeah, I literally had 3 or 4 pints. I messaged Rachel. We'd only been going out a few weeks, and I said, "Will you come and pick me up? And like, we'll go out for a bit of tea." Because I messaged her in the day, and I said, "You're not going to see me for a few months now." I messaged my mate Lee that run the company that I work for, and I said, "My grandpa's passed away. I'll get my work done, but when you see me, I don't, I said, please don't think I'll neglect my work, but I might work from home a bit. I might work." And he was fine with that. I was sort of running the office anyway. So he was like, "Whatever, take your time. I know you'll always get what needs doing done, but hopefully I'll see you when I see you. If you want to meet up, give us a shout." And that was it. And you know what? I did it next day, got up, I'd had 3 or 4 pints, went out for tea with Rachel, might have had another pint, got up the next day, went to the gym, went to work, carried on, and because it just wasn't worth sacrificing my health and going back to where I was, and I knew my grandpa wouldn't have wanted me to do that. So you kind of got to, there's a few things. Now, just because that is what stopped me regressing when my grandfather, doesn't mean that'd be the same for you, Christine, if you've lost your nan or something like that. I'm not saying that, but what worked for me might not work for you, is what I'm trying to say. But I do think that's really, really important. And I've sort of, Rachel lost a cousin 2 or 3 years ago. Tragic accident, 35 years of age. He's same age as Rachel, so he wouldn't have been, he'd have probably been 33 years of age. And, I remember going to the funeral, and at the funeral they had karaoke. Like they had karaoke on. They had a DJ on. Right, his mate was a DJ, and Rachel's cousin Dan. I never got to meet him, which I'm gutted about. But I've gone to his funeral. I've never gone to a funeral like it in my life, and I was like, "What's going?" And I was driving because it was in Manchester. Rachel was like, "We should stay over." And I'm like, "Look, awake's awake," but she was like, "It'll be awake." Right, and I was like, "What?" And Dan was a really flamboyant character, and everyone was like, Dan was like, if Dan could have planned his own funeral, he'd have had a DJ, he'd have had karaoke, he'd have had drinks, he'd have had, everyone had to wear a bright coloured shirt, and it was like, and they were like, because this is what he would have wanted. And still now, his siblings obviously are really struggling with his loss. But just from the way Rachel spoke about him, I've always thought, if you could bring him back now and see how he'd be like, "What are you doing? You've got a life, live it. I've lived mine. I chose the path I chose. I had a tragic accident." So again, I'm a big believer in that. I am a big believer in that. Yeah. Do you eat any controlled portions of nuts or dates, e.g., 6 walnut halves, 2 dates? I know we went really serious there for a Monday morning, but I think it's important to discuss things like this because grief and that is really hard. It is hard. I'm not saying it's not. And I've had a lot of clients in the past where grief is their massive brick wall and they've not been able to get around it or get over it or anything like that. And we've got, and it is something that we're always going to face. We're always going to face it, But like I say, I think for a week or two, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just think it shouldn't affect us for months and months on end, Do I eat any controlled portions? Things like, there are certain foods out there that are extremely. Thanks so much. That's very helpful, Christina. Not a problem at all. And just think, would your nan want you to be kind of, punishing yourself with struggling with? I don't know what your weight issue is. I don't know how overweight you might be or anything like that. But what would your nan want? Do it for her. Do it for her. Would she be absolutely proud of you if you carried on with this journey and got fit and got healthy and lost the weight that you want to lose and was a much happier person? I'm sure she would. I'm sure she would. Anyway, do you eat any controlled portion nuts? Yes. So there are nutrient-dense foods out there that are calorific, right? And it's anything that contains fat or like dried fruits like dates. Because a date, I think so. We had this conversation. Is it a plum? Is it a date a plum? Or is a date or is it a fig? that's been dry. I can't remember. I think it might be a plum a date. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a dry, or a date might actually be a date that's a fruit, but you always have them dried. You don't have them. I suppose you can. Can you get fresh? We had this conversation. I can't remember what the outcome of it was. We had this a few weeks ago. Anyway, dried fruit is always a lot more calorific because you can eat so much more of it. You know, you take a dried apricot, it's a one apricot. If I was going to have a fresh apricot, I might have one or two, 40, 50 calories, right? Whereas dried apricots, you could sit there and eat 10 in a row without even thinking about it. That's the same with things like dates and stuff like that. So you do have to be careful with dried fruit. But again, dried fruit has a lot of nutrition in it. Things that have fat in them that are healthy, nuts, seeds, salmon, mackerel, avocado, olives, olive oil. Again, quite calorie dense, but very, very good for us. Do I eat portion? Yeah, I do. You know, I love nuts, right? I love dried fruit. I enjoy salmon. Not really a massive fan of avocado unless it's guacamole, right? I am. I'm not into smashed avocado on toast with poached egg. I think it's disgusting, if I'm being honest with you. It's too greasy for me. I can't. There's a lot of fat in avocado. There's a lot of fat in an egg, and when you put it all together, I'm like. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm just not a massive fan of it. Guacamole, you know, I think when you take something that's like quite greasy, like avocado, and then put something that's quite acidic in it, like lime and red onion and stuff like that, it's nice, you know. But like I say, just because I don't like it doesn't mean you should like it. But yes, I do. I do have portion, but that's what you've got to do. You do have, you know, I have olive oil. I don't really eat olives. I don't really eat loads of salmon, to be honest with you. Where I get my omega-3s now is chia seeds. Chia seeds are literally 10 grams of chia seeds will give you enough, your daily dose of omega-3s, probably will give you enough omega-3s probably for a few days. And I tend to have 10 grams of chia seeds every day in different things. I always used to take the rip out of people that have chia seeds because they became very, I remember, I tell you why I take the rip out of chia seeds. A little bit. We went to, where did we go? We went to somewhere like this cafe. And it was lovely, but it was quite posh in Lytham, which is just down the road from about 10 miles away from us. And I just remember this woman. She was really posh in front of me, and she was like, and she was ordering porridge or something like that. And she went, and if you would have them, I'd love a sprinkle of chia seeds, darling. I do remember that's what she said. I was just like, it was just such a gimmicky thing to, you know. I mean, but they are a superfood. They're an absolute superfood, the chia seeds. So, you know, there's lots of different ways that, but, you know, to be honest with you, I have everything calorie controlled. That's what my diet is. My diet is a calorie controlled diet, whether it's something that's low in calories and high in nutrients, whether it's something that's high in calories, high in nutrients, whether it's something that's low in nutrients but high in calories. Everything's calorie controlled because I always stick to my calories. Right, let me say, I love avocado on sourdough toast. Again, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Right? I don't. I don't like grease on grease. I always struggle with things like that. Like Rachel always likes she'll do scrambled egg and then she likes a sprinkle of cheese. I don't like cheese and eggs together. I don't know what. Don't get me wrong. American cheese, like a cheese slice, and you're going to go, that's not even cheese. You know, like on a sausage and egg McMuffin or something like that. Love that, right? I love that. And I don't actually mind. I suppose I'm being wrong there. I don't actually mind cheese in an omelette. I don't mind. But do you know what? I say cheese in an omelette. It's still not my. Just give me a bacon and mushroom omelette. I don't need cheese in it. I don't. Whereas loads of people love like a cheese. Yeah, I don't know. It's just me. It's just me personally. You know, it's not a thing. You know. Do you use flax seeds too, Neil? I do, but I don't use them as much as chia seeds, and I'll tell you why. Flax seeds have a lot of fiber in them, and they're good for us. But I think I'm not. Quote me if I'm wrong. I'm positive flax seeds are more of an insoluble fiber, so very good for getting the old bowels moving, right? But you don't take a lot of goodness from it in a way. It kind of just goes straight through your system. So I do use flax seeds, and I used to use flax. I used to sort of alternate a flaxseed one day and chia seeds the next day. But I think out of the two, your chia seeds are much better. So I tend to I do have flax, and I've got a couple of packets in there. But again, it's just, I might be wrong with that. It's something I heard someone that is, that has much more advanced qualifications in nutrition than I do. They sort of said about flaxseed, and again, it's calorie. You know, I will always prioritize my calories to the things that, because, like I say, you know, if chia seeds, they give you a lot of fiber and they give you a lot of omega-3s and this, that, and the other, because the seed, you know, then, you know, someone might come in and go, "No, flax seeds are amazing. They give you this, this, and this." You know, I'm not saying that. You know. You got me buying chia seeds. Have to use them yet? Yeah, really good. Just mix 10 grams, mix them in your yogurt. I've got my recipe. It might not be this week. Like I say, it depends on how ripe my bananas are. I'm doing these banana and blueberry oat protein bars, and I actually use quite a lot of chia seeds in those, alongside, again, to build up, to give you some omega. I'm just trying to create this absolute nutrient bomb for 200 calories. Yeah. So I take the oats out and put the chia seeds in. Right, let me scan down, see if I've missed anything. What do you put chia seeds in? I have some, but no idea what to do. Yogurt. I just tend to, like I say, I've done this new recipe. I see there's some people who like chia seed puddings and chia. If you just have chia seeds and mix them with any liquid, they go a bit like frog spawn, right? They do. That's kind of what they are, right? They swell up, right? But mix them in with yogurt, they don't. They don't, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I've never tried. I've seen them on social media. People do these chia seed puddings and stuff like that. I've never done that. I just mix them in with my yogurt. So, like, my natural Manjaro bowl that I do is, you know, when I did the Boss's staple, it was yogurt, protein powder, fresh berries, honey, and granola. Really, really simple. The natural Manjaro bowl, because I'm trying to ramp the fiber up, is yogurt, frozen berries, more volume, less cost, chia seeds, and whey protein powder. So that's the main difference between it. It's got more volume because I use frozen fruit instead of fresh fruit, and I've added like 5 to 10 grams of chia seeds in there as well to really ramp the fiber up. Yeah. Kimberly, morning, boss. Day one of the one-to-one plan, day ahead plan. Lovely, Kim. That's great to hear. And I think you like that video, so you've watched that video about adapting to get things to suit you. That's great. I've been having a protein tortilla wrap with Aldi chicken breast grilled and seasoned with avocado, seasoned with avocado, lettuce, and onion hot sauce. Lovely. If that's what you like, get it in. Really healthy. You've got a little bit of extra protein in that protein. Do you know what I love about the protein wraps? The texture of them. I think they've just got more. They're firmer. They're easier to wrap with. They've got more texture about them. A lot of people wins that they stick together. That is to do with the way they're stored. That's to do with the way they're stored. So if they've been crushed in storage, or you keep them anywhere that's slightly warm, they will stick together. They're actually better off in the fridge, I think. If you get them in the fridge, they'll pull together a lot easier, and then you can slightly warm them up when they're individual in the microwave or something like that. Right, I'm scanning down. I definitely recommend paying Neil £5 to work them out for you. Yeah, guys, if you don't want one-to-one coaching, but you just need your calories working out, you can just join my community. It's £5 for your first month using code WELCOME. Again, TikTok profile, Facebook page, YouTube page, profile thing. Just click on my link tree. 2 or 3 tabs down is my community. It's £5 for your first month using code WELCOME. A part of signing up to my community, you get a full calorie breakdown from me. It's 9:30. I'm going very, very soon. Dried plum is a prune. That's the badger. Right, so dried plum is a prune. I think a date is just a date, isn't it? A date is actually fruit, and then they just dry them. Yeah, right. Let me scan down. What is 10,000 steps classed as exercise-wise? I don't class it as exercise. So on my calorie calculator, I have a separate thing for steps and a separate thing for exercise. But it all depends on who you are. So me saying that's me personally. I think steps and exercise should be separate because, you know, don't get me wrong, if you're doing your steps by walking at a 10 gradient at 5 kilometers an hour on a treadmill, you're getting steps in while increasing your heart rate enough to do exercise. If you're getting your steps in by just plodding about, you're not quite doing exercise from it. But again, this is very subjective to the individual. It depends what you weigh, what your fitness levels are. If you are using, it all depends on what calorie calculator. I would say anything around 10,000 steps means you're lightly to moderately active. That's kind of where you're at. Lightly to moderately active, depending on what options it gives you. Yeah. Right, I'm just going down to see if I've missed anything. I lost my dad at 20 and it was the worst time of my life. Went off the rails and didn't help being healthy and productive. Absolutely. And I think as well, if you want to process grief, the healthier and fitter you are physically and mentally, the easier it is. So I think the more you punish yourself with being unhealthy, the longer it will take to kind of come to terms with things. I truly believe that, you know. I genuinely do. Maybe it's just my thought process. Maybe I'm just a very lateral thinker, and it's kind of the way I am. But I never used to be. You know. Right, let's scan down. Yes, a date is just a date. Right, lovely. Neil, do you think? Oh, hang on. Let me. TikTok, you've got to confirm you've been on our. Neil, do you think them new scales worth the money that analyzes your body? They're not. So I have a brand called Renpho scales. They're not new. They're biometric impedance scales. The ones I have are called Renpho. They're on Amazon. I think they're about 25, 30 quid. I bought mine in 2020, use them all the time. 5 years later, they're still absolutely fantastic. What biometric impedance? So the BMI scales, don't get that with body mass index. The biometric impedance, what it is basically, they send a little pulse into your body. And by the resistance of that pulse getting back down into the scales, it tries to work out what your body fat is, what your hydration is. You can take it with a pinch of salt, right? It will give you a rough ballpark figure. They're not very accurate, right? So if it comes back and says your body fat percentage is 35%, it's not as inaccurate as saying, well, your body fat percentage is 22%. If it comes back and says your body fat percentage is 35%, it could be 38, 39%. It could be 31, 32%. You know, it will give you a very rough ballpark figure. What is quite good with them is, if you got on those scales and it said your body fat percentage was 35%, and in 6 months' time it says it's 32%, you have lost 3% body fat. But you can't really work. Well, you can't actually. I was going to say you can kind of work that out between what you weighed at the start, what you currently weigh, and how much you've lost. But what your weight at the start is, because it's not your body fat, but you only really lose body fat. So if you lose, let's say you were 200 pounds and in 4 months' time you're 20 pounds, you've lost 10%, right? You've lost 10% of your overall body weight. The majority of that weight loss is going to be body fat, but you don't know what your original body fat was to see. So you won't have lost 10% body fat, right? If if 30% of your body's fat, that means if you're 200 pounds, that means you've got 60 pounds. That means you've lost. No, that don't work either. That don't work either. Forget it. I'm trying to work it out in my head, but it would. So, your biometric impedance scales, they give you a rough ballpark figure. And they'll tell you, about your hydration. They will tell you about your overall body fat. They'll tell you about your visceral fat. So, again, anything visceral fat, 12 or under. So, visceral fat is the fat around your vital organs. And it's what we would call your dangerous fat. Visceral fat is what causes all your health issues. It increases your risk of certain cancers. It increases your risk of heart disease if you've got high visceral fat. Increases your risk of type 2 diabetes. You could have, if your body fat is 30%, it's quite rare this will happen, but it can happen. If your body fat's 30%, but your visceral fat is 7%, you kind of carry what I call puppy fat, and it's more aesthetic fat than fat that's going to cause you massive risks. If your body fat is 28%, so it's not ridiculous, but your visceral fat's 14%, your overall body fat percentage isn't terrible at all, but you're obviously carrying a lot of fat in your midsection, which again, it suffocates your organs, it causes hormone imbalances, stops things working properly. So it gives a good rough ballpark figure of that. And your visceral fat should be 12 or under. That's what we're looking at, yeah. So they're not bad, and it's saying it's £10. Am I looking in the right place? Is that to join my community? It's £9.99 to join my community, But use code WELCOME at checkout. It makes your first month half price, £5. All right, so use code WELCOME. There's no contract. You can cancel anytime. So you can come in for a month. I'll work out your calories for you. Have a month in the community. See what you think of it. If you don't want to continue and you want to cancel, you can just cancel. You're in full control of your own subscription. You can just go into your customer portal, cancel it whenever you want to. All right, you're in control of it. You don't need to email me to cancel it. You sort it out yourself. Right. So if you decide to stay in the community after a month because you find it a really worthwhile place to be on your weight loss journey, and I hope that's what you will think, it's a tenner. It's £9.99. Yeah. It's well worth £10 a month. Angela, thank you very much. Very kind of you to say. I think it is. Well, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. But it's nice when you guys say it is as well. As long as you're using it to track, it's okay. But you should know their prob's not accurate. Yeah, they're just like say, take it with a pinch of salt. They're not going to be a million miles away, but they're not mega accurate. You don't need them to be mega accurate. It's just kind of, if you want a rough ballpark figure of what your body fat is, of what your visceral fat is, yeah, they're a handy little tool, Would you class an hour walk on a treadmill at 6 mile per hour exercise? For most people, it would be. Yeah, if you're walking it, bloody hell, if you can walk at 6 miles an hour, that's jogging pace, really. 8 to 9 kilometers an hour. That would be again. What you class as exercise is what your average heart rate is at the end of finishing the activity. Right, guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and get to Aldi. I've got a couple of bits of admin to do, and then I'm going to go and get to Aldi, record this shopping vlog. Then I'm going to go to the gym. Then I'll be back. Then I'm recording a recipe. So it's all good. And then I've got to do all that. And then at 1:30, I've got to take Blossom to the vet for just a little checkup to make sure she's all right. She's not come to say hello this morning. She's just chilling. Aren't you, Bloss? Are you tired? She's just having a little sleep on the sofa. She's had 20 minutes on a pig's ear, and now she's just chilling. But she's going to go in a bed. It was so heartbreaking when we brought her home on Friday because she just wasn't herself. Well, obviously she's had quite a major operation, and then she just went and walked. We put her down in the kitchen, see if she wanted to drink. She didn't eat or drink or eat anything. And then she just walked through into the living room where a crate was and just got straight in a crate, which was just like, I just want to be in my safe place. What do you get for the one-to-one plan? So with the one-to-one plan, you get access to the community, but alongside that, you get me. All right. So if you join up to the one-to-one plan, which is currently just £15 to sign up, right? Then it's £29.99 a month on a subscription. You get a full plan to follow. You get an ebook guide. You get regular check-ins with me. So you check in with me every 2 weeks. I fill out your progress sheet. We keep an eye on things. I give you tips and advice and guide you all the way through your weight loss journey if you need it. Look, if you're checking in week on, week out and you're losing, my plan's doing the job and you're making my job very easy. And that does happen a lot with my clients. I'm just like, because my plan is sustainable, it's very straightforward to follow, but if you are struggling for anything or need any advice, I'm there for you. You can also WhatsApp me 24/7. So it might get to this afternoon, you're on plan with me this afternoon, you're struggling, whatever, you can just reach out to me, WhatsApp me, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So one-to-one, you get me. You get me directly. You don't get me directly in the community. You do get me in the community because every week in the community, and you get access to this on the one-to-one plan, I do a weekly Zoom session where you can come and talk to me either through Zoom or through the chat feature. We do weight loss coaching lives as well that are on Zoom, and you've got access to me. We've got WhatsApp chat groups where if you need to get in touch with me, you can tag me in any of the groups and ask me any questions and I'll get back to you. But if you want more direct, if I need to message you, Neil, I just want to message you, not in a group, or I want some accountability. I want some support. I want to check in with you every couple of weeks, send my weight over, my measurements, my steps over. You fill out my progress sheet. You see how things are going. If this, if my steps need changing, if my calories need changing, if I need more advice, if I'm struggling a little bit to control my calories and this, that, and the other, I need you there by my side to keep guiding me and helping me. Then that's the one-to-one plan. I ask for a minimum 3 months commitment on the one-to-one plan. There's no commitment in the community, but I just ask you to sign up. So if you sign up today, I'll get you started a week today. So my next start date is the 14th of April. You'll pay a $29.99 sub in April. one in May, one in June. That's your minimum 3 months commitment. If after that you're like, no, I need you for 12 months, Neil, I need you for 80, it's just a rolling contract. It's $29.99 a month. You'll never pay any more. If you're on plan with me, right, in 5 years' time, you'll never pay more than $29. As long as you keep your subscription going, your price never goes up. Right. So when I first started online weight loss coaching, it was £20 a month. I've still got clients that are paying for one-to-one coaching in 2025, 20 quid a month, because they've never cancelled. They've just carried on working with me, even though they've hit their goal weight and they're just maintaining. They're like, for the sake of 20 quid a month to know that you're always there for me when I need you, I'm paying it. Right. And then it increased to $24.99 and it's now $29.99. But you'll never pay. So you sign up today, keep your subscription going. So if in 2030 my online coaching is $39.99 or $44.99 or $49.99, you'll still be paying $29.99. Your price will never ever go up as long as you're on subscription. Yeah. Right, there we go. That's it. Or help working out the calories in a takeaway. Yeah, I do get a lot of those each week. I've had a takeaway, Neil, or I've been out for my tea. Can I send you a picture? Can you let me know roughly what the calories are? Yes, I can do that for you as well. It's all included in the service, 100%. Yeah. I'm on Mounjaro as well. So are you supportive of that approach? Yes, Christina, I've got plenty. We actually have on the one-to-one plan in the community. We actually have a GLP-1 dedicated GLP-1 chat group. So everyone, I've got currently now one-to-one, about 15 clients on Mounjaro. And then there's about 5 people, I think, that I know of that are in the community that are on Mounjaro as well. Yeah. So if you're taking Mounjaro, absolutely fine. Look, at the end of the day, I want everyone to have weight loss support, right? I want everyone to have weight loss success. And it would be naive of me as a coach I've got clients that have had bariatric surgery that are on plan with me. I'll help you, I'll guide you, because whether you're on Mounjaro, you've had bariatric surgery, you still need to understand your calorie intake. You still need to understand learn how to control your calories, because you're not going to take Mounjaro for the rest of your life, right? Likewise, with bariatric surgery, going forward, eating's going to become more normalized. There's always a massive risk of stretching your stomach out, pushing the boundaries again. So yeah, it doesn't matter what approach you're using. You might come on and go, I'm an intermittent faster. I only eat between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. I'm like, that's fine. I won't give you calories for breakfast. I don't give you calories for nighttime. Like I say, just because it's not, whether you're intermittent fasting or not, you still need to be aware of your calories a little bit. You still need to be aware of and I always think with things like intermittent fasting, it's only going to have a certain shelf life. So what are you going to do when you stop doing it? You'll never stop doing my approach. You'll need to do it for the rest of your life, right? Whether you're trying to lose weight or maintain your weight loss, right? So yeah, so we go. So yeah, absolutely. If you are on MJ, I'll guide you and I'll adapt your plan slightly. You don't need to do anything special if you're on Mounjaro. You might get a few less calories than you would do normally, and I'll also structure your calories different depending on when you take your jab and when you're gonna, as your suppression changes throughout the week. I'll teach you how to structure your calories properly. So on your high suppression days, you have a few less calories. As your suppression wanes throughout the week, we'll give you more calories. So you can, you might be struggling to control your appetite a bit more, but you won't be struggling to stick with your calories, because I'll give you the calories when your suppression's not as good. All right. You'll see if you sign up. So yeah, you guys, if you want to come on plan, I'm going now. TikTok profile, Facebook page, YouTube page. You just need to get to my link tree. The first tab in my link tree is an inquiry form. You can send that over and I'll send you all the details with the link. Or you can just click on the link in the link tree. All the details of the plan are on the website. Anyway, ignore the dates on the website. I've not updated it today, so it might say the next start date is the 7th. It's not. It's next week. But yeah, just sign up. Use code SPRING50 for half price sign up to the one-to-one plan. Use code WELCOME for half price sign up to the community. You choose which you feel is going to be best for you. Right, guys, we're out of here. It's been a pleasure as always. TikTok, I'll be back at 8 p.m. tonight. Have a lovely Monday. It's a new weight loss week, new set of calories in the bank. That step count is 0. So let's get at it. And to you, superb people, over here on the old Facebook page and, I've turned my TikTok on, and YouTube. Again, guys, I will be back at 8 p.m. tonight. So have a wonderful day. It is a new weight loss week, new set of calories in the bank. That step count is 0. And if you're free, hopefully I will see you in about 10 hours or so.